The Ministry of Children and Youth Services currently sees youth through its funded programs at either mental health or criminal mental health plus youth justice programs. What will you do to ensure youth are seen through a holistic lens across the board around all the issues that young people are facing?
Sorry, I'm just going to clarify that. So the current Ministry of Children and Youth Services, most of their services are under either mental health or criminal issues, youth justice issues. So how can we have a more holistic approach to youth services, youth issues?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think we have to start engaging youth in a whole variety of issues. And let me just give a couple of examples. So one is food programming, which is my own background. We're proposing bringing in food programs into our schools and investing $200 million in that as a way to engage youth in their health and talking about how do we prevent illness and promote good health and tackle certain issues like rising diabetes rates and obesity rates, and actually engaging youth in that. So it's not only about people having access to healthy food, but actually programming and curriculum programming within the classroom about future health. I think we need to, one of the studies that really touched me was one that ROMA, the Rural Ontario Municipalities, put out, saying that all government institutions, when we put together advisory committees, should have youth on those committees and a part of the discussion and a part of the decision-making process, so that we are engaging youth not only in youth-specific issues, but a whole range of issues that affect your future and our future. And I think that one of the things I would just mention, and I don't want to take too much of a barb at the Conservative platform, but when it comes to criminal justice issues, the idea of chain gangs in our streets, I find appalling. And I have an 11-year-old and a 6-year-old daughter, and I don't want them walking in the streets with people literally in chain gangs. And so when we talk about criminal justice issues, let's talk about preventing crime in the first place by investing in our communities, investing in youth programming, investing in youth jobs, and investing in vibrant communities where we bring people together, not divide people.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, I mean, you're going to be coming up anyway, so you might not want to waste that credit.
Okay.
This is a really interesting question, because really what it's about is how do you organize government, and then how do you make sure that the right parts of government work together. There was no Ministry of Children and Youth Services before we came to office. We created a Ministry of Children and Youth Services because we wanted to focus and target resources. The biggest Ministry of Children and Youth Services is really the Ministry of Education, you know, which spends over $22 billion. And so my experience in government is that the way you break down those barriers is to make sure that at the political level there is cooperation between the ministries. So I'm going to use, and my colleague Rosario can talk with more seniority about the way ministries change their name and different responsibilities are given, and the names float around. But what's important is that you have the political leadership working together. On the autism file, for example, when I was Minister of Education and Deb Matthews was the Minister of Children and Youth Services, we created a reference group, we worked together, we made sure that the officials were working together to create programs that would help kids move from the programs that were in the community that were funded by MCYS into the schools where the teachers were getting training in applied behavior analysis. It's a long story, but the point I'm making is that what's very critical is that you create political will for that kind of collaboration, because we're never going to get the perfect names for the ministries. We're never going to get the perfect distribution of responsibilities. It's going to shift and change depending on ideology, depending on the time. There's a discussion right now among some seniors groups, for example, should we have a ministry of seniors? All that discussion is going to go on. They've got to work together.
provincial prisoners serving under 3 years have been getting perks in provincial prisons. They've been getting paid TV, they've been getting yoga classes, and what we want to do is we want to make sure these prisoners work 40 hours a week just like everyone else does to earn these perks. And you know what, it's up to, they have to qualify to get out there. We're not going to be sending dangerous people on the streets. You know, they can pick up some garbage along the highways and do a little bit of cleaning here and there. And you know what, the other parties don't have a position on crime, we do. And one of the things we want to do is we want to GPS high-risk sex offenders. And the other parties have no issue on this. For example, Randy Miller worked as a clown 17 years, volunteered for a local Beavers group for 10 years, attempted to adopt a child in 2002. Miller was arrested in 2010 in connection with a massive international child porn bust. Police found 60,000 pornographic images of children on 2 of Miller's computers. In February 2011, he pled guilty and his parole date will be determined upon sentencing. Is he going to be lurking around your school? Is he going to be lurking around kindergartens? Is he going to be hanging around parks? Don't you want to know? This could be your little sister. This could be your child. We want to make sure they're protected. We want to make sure we know where these people are. The other parties, they don't care.
I'm going to use a wild card. So we have policy on crime reduction. We've got education policy. We've got a poverty reduction strategy. We've got adult literacy programs, and we believe that if we support people and we prevent crime, we are going to have a more cohesive society. What is very distressing to me about the Conservative platform is the negativity, the lack of aspiration, the lack of any view of a future.
Mike Harris got rid of the rehabilitation programs in the old days, and in order to keep the prisoners entertained, he brought television back. So now they want to get rid of television sets as well. So you understand, you have rehabilitation programs and you get rid of them, and if you don't have any programs that those young people who are there for 2 years or less can get involved in so they can become productive once they leave, all they're going to do is watch television. What else are they going to do? That was not the point. The question is a very good one, and the point is useful and good and instructive. Kathleen is correct, because you're never going to get the right mix. It's true, but you're also not going to get that much cooperation, as we say happens. And sometimes it does happen, but often it's very difficult, and it really depends on the minister. It depends on how tough that minister is in terms of wanting to get a change, and how tough she or he is in terms of working with another minister. And so, collaboration is good, but it may not happen. But to get the right mix, as Kathleen says, is difficult, and there is no partisanship connected to that particular question, and I wanted to agree with that. The focus on mental illness, however, and youth justice does create a negative picture of what that ministry is doing, or ought to be doing. And in that regard, it's a problem. So how do you, so it's a good question in terms of reminding us that it should be more holistic in terms of its approach to youth and children. And at the moment, in terms of the work it doesn't do that. So, good reminder.
Okay, we're halfway through. That was fun.